everybody, I'm here in my research room at school and I'm ready to procrastinate. Today's topic is plastic straws. Why should we boycott plastic straws? Is there really any merit to this movement? Is it just a new way to be hip and look woke environmentally? So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about plastics in oceans. According to a study by Jambeck et al. 2015, 275 million tons of plastic waste were generated in 2010. Up to 22% of this makes its way into our oceans. So 12.7 million tons of plastic entered our oceans in 2010, which is above the average for the last about 10 years. If you don't know exactly how many of yourself it would take to weigh 12.7 million tons, it's the same as 2,400,000 average-sized African elephants. We don't even have that many elephants on our planet, which is a whole nother issue. But that is a lot of plastic. That is a disgusting amount of plastic. And this is mostly due to overconsumption of plastic and due to the mismanagement of waste, which are two separate things that I will also get into later. We have more plastic waste on our planet in 2010 than we did elephants. And for those of you that don't know, the reason it's important to keep microplastics out of oceans is because it is really harmful to marine life. So it breaks up into microplastics, which you can't even see with the human eye, but those are ingested by marine mammals and invertebrates. And if you don't care about that at all, you should care about this. We eat those animals that ingest this plastic, and that plastic can release phthalates. And phthalates can cause cancer. They can disrupt endocrine systems. So they could disrupt your reproductive systems, which is essentially the reason we are on this planet. So we are destroying ourselves by putting these microplastics into our oceans. In a study by Morey Ferguson, 2010, I'll put all these studies below, by the way, so you can look at them yourself after. They found about half of the microplastics that they sampled at many locations around the world for about a decade were polyethylene and polypropylene. Polypropylene is plastic number 5, and it cannot be recycled in most recycling facilities around the world, and that's stuff like your plastic straws, for example. Polyethylene, on the other hand, they vary, so it's like plastic bags, and those can be recycled, but they're still ending up in the oceans where they're not getting recycled. Now, according to a recent report by the IUCN, that's the International Union on the Conservation of Nature, very good organization, by the way, tires are the largest source of plastic in our oceans. And a recent piece in the Bloomberg Business magazine says that plastic straws, if you took all the plastic straws in the world right now, and put them in the oceans, that would only account for 0.3% of all plastic in our oceans. So why does this make sense? So this IUCN study broke down plastic in our oceans into two categories. There's primary plastics, and that comes from plastics that are used in manufacturing and maintenance processes, which I'll get into later. And then there's secondary plastics. Secondary plastics are what we are more familiar with, so that's the degradation of products at the end of their life. So then when they're put in landfills or dumped right into the oceans and they degrade and they break into microplastics. But this IUCN article really focused on primary plastics, and they found that primary plastics make up to 30% of all plastics in our ocean. The top land activities contributing to plastics in our ocean are tires, synthetic textiles, road markings, personal care products, plastic pellets, and urban dust. So the first one, which I find very interesting, is tires, and this is because the abrasion of the synthetic rubber causes the tires to break down, and by wind or water, these microplastics from the synthetic tires are carried into, well, rivers and then oceans eventually. Number 2 is textiles. So synthetic textiles, when you wash them, when they're washed in industrial processes during manufacturing, or even in your home washing machine, the fabrics break down into fibers, and these fibers are carried into the wastewater systems, and that is eventually released into the oceans as well. Number 3 is road marking. So apparently paint contains a lot of plastic, and the painted road markings, due to weathering from weather or abrasion from driving on them, are that material is broken down and also carried by wind or water into our oceans. 4th one, personal care products. That's microbeads. As we all know, microbeads have been banned in many other smarter places, in my opinion. And this is really something all of you guys can do in your lives, is just avoid products with microplastics in them. It's just completely unnecessary, and it's a way that you guys can make a difference, like, so easily in your life. Also, those microbeads, they actually cause micro tears in your skin, so just don't do it. If you need an exfoliant, there's good recipes for like coconut sugar scrubs on the internet, so look that up. Okay, pellets. So that's number 5, plastic pellets. So most plastic products start their life cycle out as pellets, and by the pellets being either transported to the factories or during manufacturing processes, these plastic pellets are apparently spilt a lot and then just directly carried into waterways and then the oceans. And the 6th top land activity that contributes microplastics to our oceans is city dust. So city dust, that's actually, there's a subset of 9 different sources that contribute to this city dust. And that's stuff just like abrasion from your sneakers and other objects like that, or the wearing down and weathering of different infrastructure, and then that's carried as dust and it settles or deposits into our oceans. So yeah, like I said, these 6 sources that you probably have never thought of but probably do contribute to make up to 30% of all the plastics in our oceans. And then the other ones, which would be stuff like the plastic straws and all the plastic that's not recycled, and all the plastic that can't be recycled, that's your end of cycle pollution, and that's secondary plastics that are released into our oceans. And in addition to all this plastic pollution, plastics also need about 8% of the world's petroleum annually in order to be produced, and that's for either to power the production, the manufacturing of it, or it's to make up the actual material of plastic, because yes, plastic is made from petroleum. So if you needed another reason, there it is. So why worry about plastic straws when they're not even the majority of the problem? Wouldn't it be more effective to replace my car's tires with boulders like the Flintstones? Well, yes, maybe, but also boycott straws. So they're more of a symbol for society's need and reliance on plastic and very small plastic things. So you don't need to use a plastic straw, and there are alternatives, which is a symbol for a lot of other things that we use daily that are also made of plastic. So it's more of a way to start realizing how much plastic we're actually using in our everyday lives so that we can cut that down. So like plastic bags, plastic water bottles, plastic straws, plastic food containers, all of that are things that we should completely cut out of our lives if we want to make a difference. We have to start somewhere, basically. This is the absolute bare minimum that you could do, as there are so many alternatives right now, and it's like the new hip thing to do. So maybe when you learn how to say no to plastic straws and to stop relying on plastic straws, the same can be extended into things like your plastic bags or all the clothing that you're buying. And another thing that makes plastic straws stand out from other single-use plastics is that they cannot be recycled. So when you throw your Tim's ice cap cup in the recycle bin, you have to pull that straw out and throw it in the garbage bin because it cannot be recycled. And that's apparently because basically the straws fall through the cracks of this infrastructure. I'm not really sure on the details of that. And besides, recycling is a very resource-intensive process and should not be relied upon at all. And I should say, along with all that, plastic straws are actually the 7th most common piece of trash in all of North America. I think people use, like on average, people use almost 2 straws per day throughout North America, which is just completely unnecessary. So it will also make a difference, in my opinion, if we cut out straws, if even a few of us cut out straws. And then you can tell your friends, and you can start bringing paper straws to parties like I do. And you can look cute sipping on your vodka cran with a paper straw. So while plastic straws are kind of the low-hanging fruit of environmental activism, it's really important that people actually do take this step, as it is a symbol of moving towards a plastic-free lifestyle. Also, there are a lot of people that need to use straws due to different disabilities and conditions. So if you are able to not use a straw at all, or to use a paper or metal straw, you could definitely be doing that to change the lives of yourself, of a lot of sea turtles, and your global community. Anyway, thank you all for coming to my TED Talk today. I hope this is a good start to my environmental videos, and I hope you'll stay tuned for the next one. Thanks!